Brown woman speaking.
Brown woman speaking.
Brown woman speaking.
Please hold for the next available conversation.
What's up, y'all? I'm Portia, the Brown Woman Speaking, and you have reached the Brown Woman Speaking podcast hotline, where every week there's a new topic and a new guest, and you have been granted access to the conversation. I'll let today's guest introduce herself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Pigee. I'm a 25-year-old who's into a lot of things. I'll give you a little spill about me. So one, I am a proud alumni of UL, class of 14. Okay. I am currently enrolled in a clinical mental health counseling graduate program. So I am en route to get my master's in clinical counseling to overall be a clinical therapist. I really have a passion for mental health, and that kind of is why I started blogging. I do have a blog, So Raven Mental and Wellness blog. And I think my love for mental health developed when I was an undergrad and I studied psychology. And while I was studying psychology, although my professors were great, they were very helpful and it was very insightful, I really realized how there was a decline in African American psychologists and therapists and basically professors. And I'm the type of person, when I see something that needs to be changed, I felt like, okay, I can be the change. So I felt like, okay, if I can pursue higher education in this field, I can be a therapist one day, or if I can just simply be an advocate to African American people in this field, then I can, it'll make me happy, and I feel like I'm living out my purpose. So again, that's why I blog. I recently opened up a small business, Kind Minds, and it basically encourages positive mindsets towards mental health. And I felt like what better time to do it during a pandemic. And again, my love just really, really developed stronger for mental health. And ultimately, my goal in life is to be an advocate, to be a therapist, but I want to be able to be a safe place and to provide a safe place for people to talk about problems that they might be going to, because mental health is so stigmatized, and it's 2020, yet it's still the white elephant in the room. People are still ashamed, and people think that you have to have a mental health diagnosis to see a therapist or to straight up talk about it, and that's not the truth. I feel like my purpose in life is to provide clarity for the misunderstanding that there is when it comes to mental health, and to really help further remove this stigma.
Right. And so you mentioned the pandemic and why you started Kind Minds. And during this pandemic, we all know that we've been facing so much more trauma as Black people. And we typically act as though it's not happening, or we're unaware of the importance of understanding where our trauma comes from, where it stems from, because it goes far beyond what we've witnessed while we've been sitting down during this pandemic. So I want you to touch on Black trauma.
This pandemic has truly been very traumatic, I would say, for everyone, but particularly Black people, because not only do we have to deal with this massive virus that has been running rampant, or Donald Trump, our president who doesn't really care about anyone, we have to deal with flat out racism and brutality. I think that, well, first of all, I think we all as Black people, we understand racism, but you know how you have that direct encounter that really, really, really helped you, like, see, okay, this is real. Or, I guess like when people, there were the Martin Luther Kings, there were the Emmett Tills. Well, for me, it was Breonna Taylor. And the fact that she was murdered in her house, and the whole situation and the whole reason why, the rationale behind it, is still very vague to this day, right? But we still know that there was no reason for her to be shot and killed. And just seeing it on TV, seeing celebrities trying to advocate for her, but then you see some of them trying to glamorize it to make them look good, to see them pulling up old pictures of her. It was just a lot. It's very traumatic, a lot to see. George Floyd, when he passed, I did go walk in the protest downtown Houston, and that was just a lot. I was very overwhelmed. It was a really, really powerful feeling, but I couldn't help but be sad. And I go back to Breonna Taylor. I just thought to myself, that could have been me.
Mm-hmm.
That
Oh
could have been
yeah,
you. That could have
that's
been
what I
my
was about
daughter.
to
That
say.
could have been my friend. And sometimes it takes those moments to wake us up and see what's really going on in the world. Because a lot of us have the bystander effect. We see what's going on. We see somebody being victimized. We see somebody, or in other cases, the world sees, African Americans and other marginalized groups. They see them being kicked on and fed on and just treated unfairly. But until it comes around full circle for them, that's when they realize, okay, this is really happening. So I think for me, although I do consider myself, in a marginalized group as you are, we have to count our privilege, right? So, I do have certain privileges, and it would be wrong for me not to, be thankful for the advantages and the blessings that God have given me, right? However, I just really started to like look at them more closely and think again, like that could have been me. You know what I'm saying? And
I think that's the most traumatic part of it all. That it's so um the situations that these people have been placed in that have cost them their lives are not out of the ordinary for
they're
what we
not,
should be
they're
doing.
not.
Because Breonna Taylor, how many times, like since then, I have constantly looked in my window like and thought to myself, what if somebody started shooting through my window?
Exactly.
Even with me to walking in the neighborhood near my house, and it's predominantly white, and
Mhm.
so I'm nervous to even walk over there. And I'm an architecture student. Well, I've graduated, but so I will stop and stare at somebody's house. I've had people stare me down. My car is very how can I say this? Thuggish. And so I have to kind of be aware of every single thing. We're on high alert at all times because we've
Absolutely.
constantly seen people doing normal things that normal people do and dying. And that's just been so traumatic to us. Well, we've been always seeing it, or we've always been on high alert. But this year we're like, dang, I can't run.
Like
I
when
can't
it
sleep
stopped.
in my own house. We can't defend ourselves because then we're wrong. It's just been a lot. It's been a lot.
It has been a lie. I absolutely agree. You have to, it's like you said, normal people are doing normal things,
Mhm.
right? And they're being punished for living. So I think that's when it becomes more triggering and traumatizing because you feel desperate and you feel hopeless and you feel like, what can I do?
Mm.
What is not considered being too black? You know what I'm saying? I feel like we as black people are so resilient and we're so powerful and we're so strong. But this whole year I've just been thinking like, when do we get a break? When is enough enough? You know,
The break thing, when you think about you're in school, are you going to school online too?
yes.
Okay. So I was going to school online as well. And during all of this entire year, they have to only deal with the pandemic, which is in itself already a mental mind fuck.
Yeah.
And then we have to deal with our trauma as black people, but we still have to operate as though nothing is going on.
Nothing is going on. The code switching is crazy.
Right.
It's
We still
crazy.
have to operate as though we're just dealing with one problem, which is the pandemic. And then we're at home and we have to constantly be watching what's happening. And then tomorrow I got to turn in the assignment and act like I'm not upset. Or I have to get on a Zoom call and listen to y'all talk about something I really don't care about right now.
And God forbid you actually have to go to work too.
Mm.
Deal with people who are acting like they care and who want to even entice you and ask you questions about the events in the news.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just never ending. It's a
Never.
lot. And I feel like to be a young person, I feel like we all feel it, but to be a young person, we're already in this crazy transition in life, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And we all want to feel like we're doing what matters. But I feel like we've all kind of come to this spot of desperation. What do we do?
Mm-hmm.
You know, do you feel like that sometimes?
Yeah, I do, because I think it's important for other people to understand how heavy our trauma is, and
Yeah.
how we had trauma before we were even ourselves. And so we got the trauma from our parents and their grandparents and their grandparents, and now it's placed on us. And now we're being told as a generation that we should basically be over this, when we're still watching it happen, and we still know people who went through these things, and we're still carrying it on our back because the problem has not been solved.
It is not.
And we still have to go through our daily lives, and we're still told that we're lazy. We're still told that we're complaining too much when we're not. So some kind of awareness has to come to the forefront from people outside of our race, to understand just how strong we are and give us grace on not being strong. Like, let me not be, because I'm tired. I know this semester, one of my professors, well, our dean, one of our deans, she was very good on allowing us to just be. So if we're, typically you be penalized for missing class or something like that. But I was good at emailing and letting them know I can't do it today, because I think that's the grace we need to be able to have. Like, especially school by itself is already traumatic, because you're expected to get up every single day, get on these Zoom calls with people you do not want to talk to, people who
And
already feel like you're less
school is
than.
not ideal for any type of, not for
Yeah.
kids, not for people in business meeting. It's just a lot. It's
It's
too much.
turn your mic on, turn your
Make
video
sure
on.
the camera is on. It's too much.
I'm like, I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. You're expecting me
Sis
to.
is tired and sis is me, you know?
Yes. I think Black people are expected to be like some kind of superhuman. Like, we're
Especially a black
expected
woman, but that's a whole different conversation.
to we're expected to be
Lord,
something unrealistic. Like, I can't do it. I know you feel that I'm strong, but I'm tired.
and then the strong mentality is passed on to
Mhm.
generation. And, you know, we grow up kind of fast in a sense, you know?
So fast.
We're
So
taught things that other races aren't taught, you know, like black young men, they're taught to don't look at a white woman this way, don't really interact with this race. You know, it could get you killed. Or, you know, if you get pulled over by the police, you're very respectful, as you should be. However, you take extra precautions. You call me on the phone. I remember I got in 2 bad car accidents at the beginning of the year. I called my parents immediately. My dad told me, do not hang up the phone.
girl, I
Don't hang
got
up the
pulled
phone.
over in North Louisiana, and what was it called? Georgetown. And when the cop pulled me over, my heart was racing. Like, and I tried my best not to start tearing up. I called my dad, and then I think the insurance card I had in my car, I knew it was out of date. But he sends me the card on my phone because we don't live in the same place. And so I'm telling the man this, he is just getting an attitude with me, and I'm just like nervous, because we were literally in the middle of nowhere. And if anything would have happened, it's my car and his
Like you
car.
would have known.
So I was just, girl, shaking up. I didn't call mama on FaceTime. So that goes back to the thing when I said we're doing normal things. People get pulled over by the cops all the time. Literally,
All the time.
that's their job. People are getting pulled over by the cops all the time. Unfortunately, people get in car accidents. And instead of you focusing on the fact that you just got in an accident, which is already traumatic, you're thinking about how the police is coming and how these people are going to react to you. And that's things as young people, we have to learn how to do normal things in our own way for our own safety. And that is, why. Like, why is why, but it's becomes
It's
our
real.
norm, which is
It's a
sad,
reality.
which is so sad.
It is a real reality.
Hmm.
It is.
So, what advice would you give Black people on being aware and mindful of what we're going through and how we should seek help when we need it, or talk to people, or give ourselves grace to, just be sad, be mentally drained? What advice would you give them?
Okay. So, one, I'm going to go off of what you said. One, we have to give ourselves grace. We really do. Um, I think that we really live up to the world's persona of us being strong all the time. But sometimes we have to put our foot down and say enough is enough. We
Mm-hmm.
can't be there for everyone. We can't be the voice all the time. Sometimes we have to just sit back and, whatever higher power you believe in or how your spirituality is, I pray to God, because I truly know he is real, because I feel like if you didn't know God was ever real, the pandemic should have taught you
Mm-hmm.
that he was real.
Yes.
And the way he's kept me and others, like, I could preach. But one, I think really sitting back, um, giving yourself grace, but praying for peace and seeking peace, because ultimately, yeah, we could go burn buildings down. Yeah, we could throw some bricks through some people's windows. You know what I'm saying? But the problem still exists.
Right.
So, of course, it is okay to be angry. I'm angry. You're angry. Everybody's angry. But people have been angry for years.
Mm-hmm.
It goes way back past slavery, because even after slavery, when it was abolished, like, it was still going on. And again, like we said, racism, the systematic racism, it still exists.
Still.
So ultimately, I think it's really having that real conversation with yourself and understand what it is and what it isn't. And like you said, finding different ways to do the things that we normally do. It is sad that, Black people shouldn't be out in certain places at certain times. You know what I'm saying? It's sad, but I mean, should you change your life and your paradigm for that? No, but you can be mindful, and I'm not saying that Breonna Taylor wasn't mindful. I'm not saying that Emmett Till wasn't mindful. I'm not saying George Floyd wasn't mindful. I'm not saying any of these
Mm-hmm.
people were mindful, but again, it should heighten our alertness to these things. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? We see all these people just being innocently slain.
Right.
So from that,
And they're probably very aware and mindful of what's going on. So that's not what she's saying at all, because the
at all,
inevitable will happen. But
yes,
I'm sure something could have happened multiple times before you know what the tragic end to their lives happened. So that's what she's saying. Like,
yeah. So
we're at
I
a
hope that's
heightened
clear for
awareness.
everybody, because no, first of all, it doesn't matter whether or not you're a criminal, whether or not you have a gun, whether or not you have a charge that is considered heinous to the police. It does not matter. You don't deserve to lose your life. You don't deserve to be oppressed. You don't deserve any of that treatment. So that's not what I'm saying. I hope that's very clear. However, I'm saying that because of the things we see, we have to see it and apply it to our lives. So other things that we can do, I feel like we can support one another. And what I mean is not just tweeting about it, not just Instagramming about it, not just posting about it. Form support groups, talk to each other, comfort each other, create platforms so people can voice their opinion and they can activate social change, because it does not matter what anybody says. You know, maybe protesting wasn't your thing, maybe donating wasn't your thing, but that definitely drew national attention. It definitely did get some things done. You know what I'm saying? So that might not be your thing, but find something. You know, sometimes you have to get angry enough to cause a change. So that would be my advice with that. Also, go to therapy. You do not have to be diagnosed with an illness to go to therapy. No one has to come to you and say, hey, you're schizophrenic. Hey, you have clinical depression. Hey, you're bipolar. Hey, you have split personality. No, that does not have to occur. We go to the doctor. I hear this saying so often. And my cousin, who is a therapist in California, she said this on my blog a couple of months ago. She said, we go to the doctor for our physicals all the time. Nothing might not even be wrong with us. So why wouldn't we go to someone to talk about our feelings and our emotions as a regular checkup? Your physical body is just as important as your inner body. Your mind is very powerful, and I think a lot of us sometimes think that once we reach this point in time where there is no change, we can't evolve. But I always say that we are constantly evolving, and we can change, and we can change for the better, or we can change for the worse. And I feel like really being in tune with how you feel and your emotions, and talking to someone who isn't your friend, talking to someone who doesn't know you, because whether or not we want to be real with ourselves or not, everybody has some form of judgment. Everybody does.
They do.
So just because your homegirl, she cool, she listens to you all the time, you've been knowing her since she was 5. I mean, homegirl probably is judging you a little, and that's okay.
And
But
she's not equipped with the tools to truly help
exactly,
you with what you're
you know,
going through.
so why not go to a paid professional who went to school for this and who can actually help you sort through it? And that's the beauty in therapy and the advancements. And I will say, as stigmatized as I do think mental health is in the Black community, I'm really proud of the progressions that have occurred in the Black community to bring more attention to Black mental health. There's therapy for Black girls, therapy for Black men. There are so many platforms. There's literally a directory online on therapy for Black girls that shows you Black therapists in your area. All you have to do is type in your zip code. Like, that's awesome. So no more of the, I don't want to see a white person, or I don't want to see this person. You can literally choose. There are helplines. There are apps. You know, there are so many ways to get help that you need. We really need to take advantage of them.
It's nice to see that. I feel like our generation, the millennials, have made it okay, more okay, to seek help, and doing it in ways that are unconventional to the norm. If you don't want to go into the office, now you have other spaces and platforms to get help from the comfort of your own home. And so, some parts of social media is real. It just add fuel to the fire. But then
Mm-hmm.
on the other hand, we're able to create platforms like yours, platforms like therapy for Black girls and Black men, and the directory and things like that.
And platforms
They're
like yours
okay
where people can be honest and open, you know?
with their emotions, and anonymous, and not get backlash, and be able to cut it off, because so often we'll tell our family members something, and it might be trauma that they haven't even dealt with, and so we get the judgment or the emotions that they have from themselves placed on us, projected on us. Whereas if we're just telling somebody else, you might find that you're not in this alone, and now you're open to a broad range of people. So I do commend the younger generation on making it okay to go to therapy. Because even I've been even talking to my grandmother about her going to therapy. She has heart condition, and she let stuff stress her out too much, and I just don't like it. And because I actually started going to counseling, and I was diagnosed with clinical depression and anxiety, and so I kind of had a feeling something was wrong because at times I just didn't have control what of my day-to-day activities. Like I just was feeling empty, and so I'm like, okay, I need to go and get help. And so after they saw me going and how it was making me feel, they were more open to the subject. So I think when we share our experiences, people are see is okay, it's okay. It ain't even that bad. I can go do that. So I think it's good that we're starting to show and what am I trying to say? No. that we're starting to um advocate for
Step up.
how good it is to or how okay it is to just go to therapy, go to seek help outside of ourselves. We don't have to be strong all the time.
We don't. One, I want to tell you thank you for sharing that with me and your experience with mental health, because I just I feel like every time somebody shares their personal story, it like the barriers for the conversation are just constantly broken down. That gives me courage. That gives the next person courage to be like, okay, let me go get a checkup, or let me talk to someone. So thank you for that. So I will say, I'm not trying to diagnose myself or anything, but I am pretty sure I have anxiety bad. And I realized that when I moved to Houston. It's really crazy because different situations and different moments in your life will really show you who you are. And not that that's a negative part of you, but you really will get insight. So, like, we're always changing, it's crazy. So, when I moved out here, I moved alone, and I have friends and I have loved ones, but I don't have any family. And I grew up very close knit with my family, like super, super tight. So although I moved away I wanted to evolve as a person. I wanted to become mature. I wanted to develop more of a sense of responsibility. It's hard. It's hard letting go of things that the normal. And ultimately, whenever you're trying to better yourself, in my opinion, it gets worse before it gets better.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cleaning process, and it's a growing process, and like your old self is like really constantly shedding so your new self can be present. So in the midst of that, I will say that I also have a timeliness problem. um, when I first started working out here, I was constantly to my job, right? And because I'm in school to be a therapist, I've been very into my emotions and everything that's on with me. So I started researching like people who are late, like what are the emotions that they constantly feel, right? So I started like realizing that I had symptoms of anxiety because I didn't like my job. I was constantly late. I would wake up on time and purposely come late to work, like really self sabotaging behaviors. And I realized I had developed an anxiety towards this job. I would dread it, I would really hate it, and it kind of took me a lot of mindfulness and self awareness to really say, okay, this is the issue, but what else? You know what I'm saying? And I noticed that had became an issue in my life. So basically, I just wanted to give a short example. Anxiety to me is when you are constantly worrying and exchanging thoughts in your head. Um, it is really normal for someone to worry about life, to worry about what's going on tomorrow, what I'm going to eat today, or oh, I got to pay a bill. When am I going to pay this bill? Um, oh, I'm dating this boy. Do he like me? Because I like him. Normal things. Whenever you are constantly rotating thoughts in your head to the point where you cannot go to sleep at night, to the point where you cannot really function, you can't be in, of course, there are different types of anxieties, but you can't be in a big crowd because you think people are talking about you. You can't get to this place on time or honor your engagements because you're like, oh my God, I don't really want to be here. That is not normal.
Mm. And I do
It's
that all
not
the
normal.
time.
It's not. And that kind of anxiety, if it's not treated or discussed or, really dealt with, it can be crippling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Anxiety and stress are often intertwined as well. Stress, it's normal. We all get stressed out. You work too much, you'll become stressed. You think about something too long, you'll become stressed. Something traumatic happens, you get stressed, right? But stress can turn into anxiety. So
Mm.
again, worrying and stress are basically like twin sisters to me. They kind of are the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important, like I said, to get those things addressed. Anxiety can manifest in your sleeping habits. It can manifest in your body. Your chest can hurt. Your bowels. You might have to use the bathroom every time you have to go to an important event. I actually know someone like that, and that is really crazy. But I'm not gonna go into detail. But it can really, 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 really show up in your life.
Yeah,
And again,
very debilitating.
yeah, yeah,
Because
it's
you
crazy,
talk
isn't it?
mine. I have very severe chest pains. I be in here hurting, and I have trouble sleeping at night. Like I will, it feels like I'm worrying myself to death or something. I can't even explain it. And then something as simple as, for instance, I am job hunting right now, where I'm supposed to be job hunting, but my anxiety towards job hunting and being disappointed with what might happen keeps
Yep,
me from actually doing the action of job hunting. And then
yep.
sometimes I'll have like a spurt where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do it, and then I don't do it. And so it really hinders you from doing normal stuff.
Absolutely.
And it's physical and mental pain. And that's what's crazy about it.
Yeah, it kind of tears down your confidence in
Mm.
a sense too.
Big
It's
time.
really crazy. It is.
I start even thinking about like, dang, I can't do this. I started kind of beating myself down at one point because I'm like, you can't even complete a task. So
Oh, I'm getting triggered. Oh my God.
I started feeling like, okay, you really got a problem. Like, and I started beating myself down about something I have absolutely no control about over. When in reality, I do have the ability to complete tasks. I complete tasks all the time. It's just sometimes I'm so anxious about the task or what the outcome of the task might be. I just don't do it at all. Out of fear of how I'm gonna feel after, it's over with.
And I'm
So
looking at
all
you like
that
I'm
is
having a hallelujah moment. Like we hear you.
all
It's
that just goes on in my head, and that
yeah.
just adds to my depression. And then I'm just in here sleeping all day because that works out. Sleep
Right.
during the
And
day.
not thinking about it.
Yes.
Right.
So, and then I didn't start having dreams. It's just a whole lot of. But if you're feeling uneasy and unable to control your emotions, please seek help and know that it's okay to do so. Because when I went to counseling, she started telling me stuff. I was like, girl, how you know that? How did you know that? And she even gave me, like we talked about mindfulness, she gave me this chart of different things that I kind of manifest, and things I should be mindful of that would trigger me, trigger my anxiety and my depression. So things like that, your friends don't have on hand.
They don't.
So that's
And they
why it's
don't have the
important.
capacity to provide that insight to us. They don't.
Right. They can share, and I think a lot of people are kind of hold back and don't share what they're actually going through with their circle of friends. And they think you over here strong and you just over here hurting. Because when I tell people, they're like, "Oh my God, I did not know that was happening. You seem like you so bubbly and you stay clowning." And I'm like, "Yeah, I feel like sometimes that's a mask of what's actually happening." So yeah,
And I
please
wouldn't,
seek help.
yeah, that's so true though. Um, putting on a strong face. And people just don't know. You
So
need help. Not you as I'm talking about you as a B girl, but we all need help, But yeah, I definitely agree with that.
but overall, us as Black people, because this podcast is for us, we it's okay to not be strong all the time.
Mhm.
It's okay to feel uneasy. It's okay to not feel in control of your emotions because in reality you have a lot of stuff going on in your head that you're trying to unpack at one time. And we are not wonder people. Even though we're supposed to get, well, by the time you hear this, it won't be yesterday, but yesterday we were supposed to get superpowers. Well, if you can have one superpower, what's your superpower be?
Oh, girl. I ain't gonna lie to you. At first, I was being silly. I was like, I wish I could teleport so I could slap people, and then teleport back. But no. Um, I'm not. This sounds super cliche, but I wish I could travel back in time and see my parents when they were younger. I just think that would be so cool
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know. We all have these ideals about our parents and who they are, but I would love to just see it
See.
firsthand.
Oh, I was just thinking last night, because I was watching Iyanla, this episode. It was like this dad on there and
Mhm.
his kids. And he was saying how he was a fatherless dad and he tried to kind of figure it out on his own. And I'm like, dang, I wonder how my dad's experience was and
Right.
how that molded him into the parent that he is, or molded my mom into the parent that he is. So I feel like that would be kind of dope.
And
Um,
what do you know? Like, was you cool?
I
Was you a dorky? Was you like chilling? Like,
want to know, are you putting on a little front now?
yes.
Because I feel
Like,
like you was doing the same stuff I'm doing right now that you be yelling me about.
somebody, hello, hello. Exactly. I
You
think
got the
that's
same
cool.
stuff going on.
Yeah.
I said that I would want my superpower. I had put it on Instagram that my superpower is force field generation. That we can,
Oh,
I would be able to block people out, block negative energy and things like that out, and create an
that's
optimal
a superpower.
environment within my bubble, and only allow certain people in here. So
So you put black negative energy, would you kind of hit a spider man and be like, psst, like,
yeah,
block it out?
yes. So that's what I would want mine to be. I feel like it
That's
would
so
be cool. I'd be
cool.
blocking people left and right.
Oh, I need that in 2021, girl, because a lot of people about to be, they
Girl.
just
Well,
won't even know, girl.
that's something else I had to start being very mindful of how people trigger me. People and their actions toward me trigger me. And you gotta get on the block list. You gotta get on the block list. You gotta go. I don't even want to see your face.
Yeah, and then people, like you said earlier, you said that sometimes people project their traumas on you, and
Mm-hmm.
it is really true that hurt people hurt people. I constantly see that, and my mom has always told me since I was younger that people operate like when you're dealing with people, it's their spirit. It's their inner man who you're dealing with. And you know, we do have to give people grace, but I've come to learn that the same grace that you extend to others, they will not extend to you. So you really have to be like boundaries. That is my goal in 2021. I'm
Wow.
not saying that I don't have any, but it is a struggle of mine because I really overextend myself too much to the wrong people, to the wrong situations. And I'm always, you know, scared to hurt someone's feelings. But I always notice that, you know, when it's Raven's turn,
Mm-hmm.
so the same consideration is not there.
At all. Oh my God, girl. That is definitely number one on my list. And I've tried to start early on my boundaries. Like if I don't feel like you're treating me how I should be treated or how I treat you, because like I said, like about the force field, I feel like in reality, I give so much to other people for them to grow, for them to thrive, and I don't get that in return.
And your
So
energy is just getting sucked out, you know?
yes, see, that's the bad thing about my power. I
Yeah,
got to. I need y'all to give back to me while I'm giving to you.
me as well.
Yes.
Ooh,
But we had a great conversation. I enjoyed you, girl.
I enjoy you too. I'm so happy to have been on here.
And don't forget, guys, I'm going to link her Kind Minds, link to her um clothing line, and as well as Soul Raven blogs, all of her information for that in the description box down below for you to go and check that out. I'll also link the resources for you to check out different therapists and things like that who are Black. If you feel that you might need some help, because it's the end of 2020 and 2020 didn't stress us at, okay,
Get me like
stress.
this.
And then by the time you listen to this, Christmas will be tomorrow, and baby, they're stressing me out, so I know it's stressing you out.
That's a
So
whole another podcast, baby.
I'll have all that in the description box down below for you to get a little boost or some help, because we all need help.
And thank you so much for having me, Portia.
No problem, girl. And y'all share this with a friend or a family member. Subscribe to the podcast. I post new conversations every Thursday, and you don't
Every
want
Thursday
to
she
miss
do.
out on the next conversation. Peace out.